Hey guys, Lizardlea here for I Said My Name Weird. Hey guys, Lizardlea here for, I'm gonna call it Christmas minis because there's no way I'm gonna do 101 of them. I don't even like all of them, but I like a lot of them, and that's what matters. The first one I'm gonna be doing is a bear caroling. There isn't a finished picture of it anywhere. So, and then they're also not named, they're just numbered. So technically I'm doing pattern number 4 in this book. But I'm gonna call it like Caroling Bear or something, because why would you say number 4? Like, I mean, there's 5 on every single page, so I understand not wanting to name every single one of them, but so far, my biggest issue is, so they'll do 5 patterns, and they have 1 key at the bottom, which is fine, except they reuse the symbols. Who does that? There are so many symbols and patterns and images that you can use, and like the first thing I noticed was there's a letter V here, and there's a letter V here. Like, why would you repeat? Especially because, like, it's a dark purple here and it's a dark brown here. Like, I don't have the best eyesight in the world, but I can distinguish colors pretty well. But I've met people that have a problem with that. Like, could you imagine if they were just like, and if they didn't have a friend to go to? Like, instead of this bear's hat being purple, it would be brown, and it would look weird. Because the bear should be brown, I think. I don't know, like, they repeat symbols. And I don't like it. You have so many symbols available to you. And ignoring letters in the alphabet, like, you don't have to stay, English. I don't care. So, yeah. It's gonna go probably right here. Actually, you know what? I might put it here. We'll see. I don't know. I might add pearls to each of these. I'm not sure. Just to, get them all similar, because I don't want somebody to be like, oh, you gave her pearls and you didn't give me, or, beads, whatever. But if they don't look good, I don't, like, these are going to have way more color than the other ones, versus those ones were just white, red, green, and grayish blue. That was it. They'll have 4 colors. Versus this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 colors. So, okay, I'm rambling. I'm going to go cross stitch now.
Alright, I have David here today.
Hello, dear.
And we've decided we're going to talk about Supernatural, because...
And then you'll take off the chains,
It just ended, and I finished it, and David is making the choice to stop at Season 5. So,
pretty much, yeah.
What do you think of the first 5 seasons? What do you think of the completed Supernatural storyline?
Yeah, really.
It was perfect, honestly.
Season 1 is not great. It's really slow.
It's trying to find itself. It's fine.
It spends a long time finding itself, and further kind of like, there's not a lot of progress. Like, a lot of shows do that, where, okay, it's the first season, so for so many episodes, they're not really sure what they're doing, or they're just kind of, using basic tropes to set up the characters. Here's, so-and-so, they do this, here's so-and-so, they do that, and you don't really get to the meat of it until partway into it. And I feel like 90% of Season 1 is a wash of just Monster of the Week, but not even unique Monster of the Week. Like, X-Files did Monster of the Week, and that worked fine. But this was just like, oh, yep, they don't believe them. Oh, yep, the monster got the drop on them. Oh, yeah, like, just by the beats, lots of really, really similar stuff. And some of my least favorite episodes. So going... with that in mind, that I disliked Season 1 that much, I think overall it was a good show for what I saw. They kind of find who they want their characters to be and what they want them to do. it is still a little bit silly, some of the overarching plot points, which I'll wait until we get into spoilers.
He only went through 5 seasons, you guys.
Yeah,
He knows
I
nothing.
know me saying it's silly now is just like, yeah, that's cute compared to like what you've seen, but yeah, it just, well, ignoring the silliness, it knows what it's doing. Like, I definitely really like the, oh, what's the song they play every time?
Gonna go back in
No,
time.
no.
That was what they played when he came back.
Yeah.
The original one was, oh, what was it?
You know what I mean, though.
It's important.
While you...
I mean, I'm sure everybody already knows what episode I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's
like, that
most
episode was
people's. It's
really
one of their
good.
favorites.
And I think it's, like, showing off what's great about the show, like the brother drama and doing things right there. The world is interesting, but it feels like dressing, like someone had to go and make a complicated world. Not that they wanted to, almost. Like, oddly to me, the monsters and other creatures they encounter are pretty well fleshed out, pretty deep, pretty realistic. The hunters feel kind of like hand-wavy, like, oh yeah, and there's hunters, and like there's hunters groups, and there's good hunters and bad hunters, and some are good and some are bad, but we're not really going to pay attention to and or remember that as time goes on, because it doesn't really matter, just remember there's hunters. Which is a shame, because I thought that was actually kind of a neat thing, like here's the people living in this world dealing with the supernatural, the not natural.
That was a great episode, okay? It was leading up to that moment where Sam just went, it's not natural. There's a meme of that. It's great.
I bet there is. Mm-hmm. So, with that in mind, it's good, you know, like it knows the story it wants to tell eventually, and then it tells it, and it has a lot of really creative characters and moments, especially for that kind of show. Like, I was really worried, because I know the show's just a tad popular, right?
Made it, what, 17 seasons or something like that?
And there's a few women who like to watch this show.
There are also some guys who like to watch the show.
Oh, no, I know, but
you.
like most of my exposure to the show before this is knowing that the fandom is rabid. Not necessarily in a bad way, but like...
Super Who-Lock, it's rabid.
Yeah, exactly. It's Super Who-Lock, and I know the Who and the Lock. I didn't know the Super part of that whole thing, so I sort of expected the same. And honestly, thinking about it, now that I say that out loud, I feel like of those 3, Supernatural did a lot better than I expected in not just doing a ton of fan service. Now, again, I only went 5 seasons in. It was not nearly as romance-focused as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, no, it's like not at all.
It continues to not be.
Yeah. Because, I've seen... So, like, this is a CW show, right? Yeah, so my other exposure to CW shows are stuff like Arrow, where, you know, any excuse they can, like, oh no, the villain is at the top of this building, let me use my ladder skills to climb up without my shirt. Like, just whenever they can, they have him...
I liked it.
Well, you'll know, I get it. It's not a criticism. Like, I get it, people like that, everyone's got different tastes on what they do and don't like for fan service. Obviously, I don't particularly care if he takes his shirt off, not my thing, but I totally respect if that's what you're there for. But if I'm not there for that, whatever. And I was worried that Supernatural was going to be...
Sam takes his shirt off every once in a while.
Well, yeah, that's kind of my point. Whereas I was worried that Supernatural was going to be like other CW shows where it's a lot of fan service for women, which, hey, more power to you, but not my thing. And it's not that. Or at least not from what I saw. It was definitely still, a show worth watching. I would highly recommend skipping the first season. But other than that...
Going back... One of my favorite episodes is the Mystery Spot, which, as David mentioned, opens with, "In the heat of the moment," and Dean just dies over and over and over and over and over again, and it's wonderful, and it's hilarious, and I love it.
It's a wonderful Groundhog Day thing.
Yes. And my other favorite one was the Lucky Rabbit's Foot. I don't remember the title of it, but Sam gets a hold of it, he loses it, and then everything starts to go wrong for him, and he's just like, I lost my shoe.
Yeah.
Like, it was so funny. Dean was like, stay in the hotel room, don't go anywhere, nothing will happen. And then the air conditioning caught fire. And it was perfection.
It's funny you mentioned those two, because they're obviously the ones in my mind, but it kind of shows to me... Well, like, okay, so the Lucky Rabbit's Foot one is just funny. Whereas the
Mystery Spot.
Mystery Spot 1 is, I think, probably the best episode I saw, because it's not only hilarious, but it's really good character writing and world building. It manages to do a bunch of stupid jokes in a way that also shows a ton of depth about the characters, who they are, and what they think. You know, like, especially by the end of what he's been going through, how Sam has just completely devolved. And it's really good character story.
Does this burrito taste weird to you?
Yeah, and then it's also hilarious like that. Like, they're not, oh, yep, they did.
Okay, I'm gonna shower before we leave. I love that show.
I called the piano, though.
Oh, yes, you did. It was beautiful, honey.
Like a mile away.
You didn't call the dog, however. That one was great, too.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Another one I really liked was the game show one. So I really like, for no spoilers, I really like the Trickster.
Yeah.
He is one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite, honestly. Nutcracker!
Yeah.
That whole thing, them cycling between commercials, it was so good.
That was a really good episode.
Like, my favorite ones are the comedic ones, honestly.
I think that's mine too, but it's not just because, oh, they're funny. It's because, oddly, again, I feel like they do a better job of making the characters feel like people in the comedic ones, because they give them more moments where they get to be human. Versus the...
Yeah, when they're just brooding, they're just brooding.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna brood. Well, I'll brood harder. Well, I'll brood even harder. All right, that you guys go do that.
I only lied to you to spare your feelings.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, okay.
For the 57th time, this episode. Like, if these... Like, I know it's a trope, but at the same time, yeah, there is a whole lot of... Boy, if you could just talk to each other, we'd skip a lot of episodes.
It's true.
And it is, even in the seasons that I saw, a little annoying to me that I feel like they didn't get better at their job. Like, even by the end of the episodes I was watching, they were still walking in unprepared, having someone get the drop on them, and then, like, it would have been nice to sort of...
I mean, if they just clean sweep everything, what's the point of watching? That's
well,
not fun.
No. That's... You see it all the time in other shows where, like, yeah, the characters start out, they're really bad at their job, and then as the threats escalate, their skills escalate. And in technicality, that happened, but they didn't really show it well because they kept falling for the same stuff. They used the same, like... how many times do you have to walk into a... Like, okay, look, I don't want his gun on a bungee cord, but how many times can you lose your weapon?
Okay, you know what? There's also a meme going around of people that are like, why don't they just fill up hula hoops with salt and then just hula hoop everywhere? Like,
I mean, no, I'm not...
There is something for everything in Supernatural.
No, I know. And I'm
so,
not trying to,
yes,
like,
the fans agree with you on that one. Like, why don't they...
They don't need...
Didn't you see the episode where they talked about putting their knives or something
yeah,
on a bungee
that was
cord?
the joke I just made. Yes.
Yeah, and like they hurt themselves, so
like,
that's why they didn't
do
that.
My point is, I'm not trying to be like, well, why don't they do this? Because there's always somebody saying something like that in the sense of like, well, I think I know a better way to solve the problem. It's just that I wish they could have come up with more ways to have them get in trouble rather than just rehashing the same plot beats to show that there was growth. Like, okay, yeah, early on they walked in unprepared and people would get the drop on them and they'd have to fight for their lives. But now at, season 4.5, they go in and they, like, a simple way to do this is like you have one episode where you start with one threat, they go in, they just wipe the floor with it, kind of showing they've made progress, and then it turns out that was a distraction and here's the real threat or whatever.
Yeah, that happens.
Kind of, but even then...
In later seasons, you don't know.
Fair enough. I stopped early, so... In the 5 seasons I saw, they didn't do it much.
Okay, well, 5 seasons of, 15 is 1/3 of the way.
It was a long 5 seasons. There's a lot of episodes per season.
I will say, there are a few episodes that I deem just unrewatchable, and most of them are in season 1. I hated the episode in the lake where the little boy... drowned or whatever, and his mom is in the tub. I hated that one. The one with the bees and the bugs and, locusts and whatever. I hated that one. I don't think you got to it. There's a werewolf one where we follow a bunch of teenagers who have turned into werewolves and they kill each other. And we get little teeny tiny snippets of Sam and Dean. Hated that episode. I refuse to rewatch that piece of crap. Oh, yeah, that's later. That's season... After 5, yeah.
I know I hated the truck episode.
Is
where
that
the car's chasing them and the white just...
The black car... Or no, the black guy and the white girl? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
That one didn't bother me. Or at least not on the same level as the previous one I mentioned. The bug one and the lake one, just, they made me, I was so annoyed with them. And rewatching them, I'm just like, ugh, this is terrible.
Why am I doing this to my boyfriend?
Well, no, actually, I left the room when you watched those.
Yes!
So.
Oh, good. I forgot to think about it.
Made you watch them. That's fine. Yeah, so I guess going into spoiler territory. Or, well...
Yeah, well...
Do you
okay.
care? What? Do you want to watch... Do you ever want to continue watching the show?
Well, let's spoil the first 5 seasons, and then if we have time, we can spoil beyond that.
Okay, well, do we want to go for the hardcore best spoiler, which is the season 5 finale?
I mean, we don't have to start there. Like, I think the first spoiler is the other main member of the cast who eventually shows up.
Their dad.
No.
Castiel?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Because his introduction, he's actually
His was amazing.
Well, that's the thing. He is both exactly what the show can do great and what the show can do kind of wrong.
Yes, this
like,
is true.
His introduction is perfect.
I'm the one who gripped you tight and raised you from perdition.
Yeah. Well,
yes, that's...
Well, not just that, but like...
No, I know, but like, I can still quote it all these years later. He had an amazing introduction. The only other introduction that I can say I believe is 110% better is Death.
Yeah.
Oh, Death. And then the guy bumps into him.
Yeah, and those
Death just goes to his shoulder and the dude drops dead.
Yeah.
That is my favorite introduction of any character of all time.
And those moments are what make the show. Like, they've got this world of monsters, and you're now reading far into Dresden, so you understand, like, what I compare to when I think of World of Monsters, where you need to ramp power level. And it's not fair to compare to Dresden, because it's a book, they got to plot it out, and he's a good writer. But...
Ouch.
It's kind of what I'm doing
just
here.
called CW a bad writer, you guys.
Yeah, but they make more money than I ever will, so I can sit here from the peanut gallery and complain all I want while they bathe in money. So
okay.
The point being that they nail those moments. Like, Castiel is an angel, so like they're like, oh, this is a big deal, and they do a great job of showing that this is a big deal in comparison to all the big deals they've ever seen. This is a whole nother level they are completely unprepared for, and it's a major problem. And by the end of season 5, he's not even that special anymore.
Yeah, he's just a shtick.
Neither are the other angels, like, except for the archangels.
Yeah.
But, like, angels have now been demoted to a normal level threat, and I don't even know exactly how that happened, whereas in most
Angel
shows...
Blades.
Yeah, but even then, like, it's just like the danger Castiel was supposed to invoke just by existing, even if you had a weapon for him, is kind of gone by the time, by the end of season 5, where they're just like, oh no, not another angel. It's not like the earth shaking, like, oh crap, one of us might die, everything's screwed, there's angels. So, that was cool.
I found a liquor store. I drank it.
Yeah, that was good.
That is a very, very quotable show. I will
Yeah.
at the very least give it that.
And it's a fun show.
It is.
I will also say, since we're in spoiler territory now,
Uncle Bobby was one of my favorites. Continue.
I understand the brotherly love being a good arc and angle for these characters, but how many times do they have to sacrifice themselves for each other?
You only got through season 5.
I know!
You sit down and shut up.
Because, like, it bothers me that they played that card so early and then just kept playing
Oh, yeah.
it.
Yeah, they continue to play it. Don't worry.
It's that bothers me, because it's like you have so many cool things you could be doing with this world, rather than having the brothers act like lemmings who can't communicate about who's going over the cliff first. Like, it's just...
I mean, I hated the episode, or excuse me, I hated the scene in Avengers Endgame with Black Widow and Hawkeye. I hated it. I hated it.
That was dumb.
Like, no.
It could have been cool, too, but it was dumb. It was way over the top.
It would have been better if they'd kept the original, where you see Natasha get shot. Because at that point, the moment she was shot, it should have just been like, oh yeah, no, you have to be the one to die, because if I sacrifice myself and I'm completely unharmed, and you have a gunshot in the gut, like, yeah, you're not going to make it back. But no, they just kept going, and they kept going. I hated that scene. The only scene, well, no, I don't know if I hated it more. But... completely off topic. I also hated the scene of all the girls coming together at the end. Like, oh, all of a sudden, they all showed up at once. That made me so angry, you guys. I felt like they were pandering to me, and it pissed me off.
So, yeah.
I'm here for girl power. I'd love to see an Avengers movie with a bunch of girls, but that was just ridiculous, and I hated it. Sorry, back to Supernatural. Continue.
Yes. So, overall, the devil was cool.
I love Lucy.
I feel like they didn't actually use him enough, like, given
they
how
used,
well
they,
that actor
they
did.
used him a lot after that.
Yeah.
And at one point, they try using a different actor, because, you know, like, the actual angel itself can switch between human bodies. And the other people didn't stick the way that, what's his name, Mark Pellegrino?
Yeah.
Because they could not act the way he could, and it was not good.
Crowley's cool.
Crowley is amazing.
Yeah.
I also really liked Alistair, the really
Yeah.
deep voice who tortured Dean. That was great.
Yeah.
And then got tortured by Dean. That was
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, I love Crowley. He's so much fun. You didn't meet Charlie, did you?
Charlie.
Girl.
Maybe.
I don't know. When was she introduced? Supernatural Charlie. Nope, 7. You didn't meet her. That sucks. But Gabriel, okay, spoilers, used to be, or, well, pretended to dress up and be Loki, aka the trickster god, was my favorite character. I loved Gabriel so much. He was so much fun. You didn't like the trickster?
No, I did.
He was hilarious.
He's great. Every episode he's in is watchable.
It's one of my favorites.
And again, I think that's because for whatever reason they do a lot of their best character building in the comedic episodes, because he's all about like, oh, but it's also a deeper meaning. And normally that's cliche, but since they're not doing any of the character building anywhere else, you know, they're just moping or brooding and moping or moping and brooding or throwing themselves off cliffs for each other. So yeah, I don't remember too many of the female characters. I don't feel like there were any that stuck.
You didn't meet Jodie.
Yeah.
She was long-term, and she was one of my favorites. Her and Charlie are amazing. They make... Well, okay, Charlie doesn't make it, but Jodie makes it to the end of the series. And there's another cop. I love her. I can't remember her name, though. Let's see, Jodie Mills. I love Jodie so much. Everyone loves Jodie. If they don't, they're wrong.
Yes, dear. That's fair, dear. I see how you could see that, dear.
Mm-hmm. I'm not wrong, honey.
Are you?
I'm not. Everybody loves Jodie. Especially because she's older than the boys and doesn't date them. Because people hate that in the supernatural community. And you know what? On that note, we will end this episode.
And that is the end of Christmas Minis caroling bear. I don't know, now that I'm looking at it, it almost looks more like a mouse. But I can't tell you guys. I don't know. It's really cute either way, but like the unfinished, the pattern itself looks like a bear to me. Like that I see a bear there. But it looks like a mouse here. And I don't know. And I don't know. But I did realize that I didn't actually say what this book was. So it's 101 Christmas Minis, Book 2, from Leisure Arts by Holly Defount. I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry. I got it off of Amazon. So there are some of the patterns. And there are some more. It has a lot of really cute ones, so, you know, if you like them, I totally recommend you buy it, but if you're not good with patterns or colors, I don't recommend it, because not ideal, not ideal. Alright, handsome man, tell me what animal this looks like. What is it? Come closer.
Not back.
Breaking things. What kind of animal do you think? What do you think that is?
Mouse.
Like, definitively you think it's a mouse?
Or a hamster.
Okay, mouse-like. Okay.
It's a moose.
Yeah, you know, a moose has antlers, right?
No, moose is like cheese.
Oh my god, I'm going to stab him. If you give a mouse a cookie. I loved that book. Okay, I don't have anything else to add. Oh, I got 2 hours and 54 minutes of footage. So that one actually didn't take very long. So hopefully I can knock a bunch more of these out. I don't know how many I need. I should probably consider that. Don't mock me, sir. Don't mock me. If you're going to mock me, you need to do it on camera.
I'm not going to do that.
Well, then you can't mock me. It's the rules. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys in the next video.